The family searching for answers tonight in the death of their loved one.
The body of a 74-year-old woman was found dead near Dewson Park this week. Her family wants to know how she ended up in Northeast Houston just days after being released from the Harris County Jail.
They say she spent one night in jail and was released, and after a week of searching, the family got the devastating news.
74-year-old Shirley Houston was a happy and jolly person who could put a smile on anyone's face. Sadly, Shirley also suffered from dementia and heart problems, sometimes causing her to exhibit aggressive behavior. On January 10th, Houston police were called to Shirley's South Side home in Houston's 3rd Ward after she got into an argument with the woman she was staying with. Shirley was subsequently arrested and charged with assault of a family member, despite having no prior criminal record. Around 7 a.m. the very next day, January 11th, Shirley walked out of the Harris County Jail on a personal recognizance bond. Little did anyone know, Shirley would never be seen or heard from again.
More breaking news, this time near Atascocita, where a woman was found dead. Tonight, detectives and forensic examiners are down that road behind me looking for clues. The sheriff's office says at about 3:30 this afternoon, a work crew found the body of a black woman who appears to be between the ages of 40 and 60. Detectives say there were no obvious signs of trauma, and it appears she's been here for several days at least. The area where she was found is near a retention pond across the street from Alexander Dewson Park. Detectives say there is public access to the wooded property, but they don't know how she got here. Tonight, they'll be digging through missing persons reports as they continue to work this case.
Shirley's family immediately began searching for her, checking the downtown area and around the area where she lived, but nothing. It was as if she vanished. Sadly, Shirley's body would be located on the northeast side of Houston in Dewson Park 1 week later, roughly 20 miles away from the downtown jail, leaving her family shocked and confused. How did she get there? Was HPD aware of the fact that she had dementia? Why was she released on her own? While questioning HPD, Shirley's family would learn there was no mention of dementia, although Shirley was taken to a hospital prior to being transferred to jail.
A 75-year-old woman who relatives say suffers from dementia is found dead a week after she walked out of the Harris County Jail. Fox 26's Randy Wallace is there live for us with some more details tonight.
Yeah, Anthony. Now, relatives of 75-year-old Shirley Williams Houston say they have no idea how she got from here to Dewson Park, which is more than 20 miles away. That's where her body was discovered last night.
She just was a happy, jolly person. When you see her with a smile.
Houston police were called to the southeast side home of Shirley Williams Houston on Wednesday, January 10th. She was suffering from dementia.
Yeah, she had the dementia. She had heart problems too.
Relatives say Shirley got into an argument with a woman staying with her. Shirley was arrested and charged with assault of a family member, a misdemeanor.
Shirley have never been in trouble. She ain't got a police record.
The next day, January 11th at 7 a.m., Shirley walked out of the Harris County Jail on a personal reconnaissance bond. Then Shirley went missing.
We rode around a little downtown, then we went and we rode through her neighborhood where she stayed.
Wednesday night, Shirley's body was found near Dewson Park, which is more than 20 miles from the jail. How did she get there, relatives wonder? And did anyone with HPD or the jail know she had dementia?
I know she wasn't in a state of mind when she went to jail. They should have known that.
When her and the lady had the altercation, I think someone should, if they didn't, I think someone should have told the police she had dementia. I can't say they know, and I can't say they didn't know.
The Harris County Sheriff's Office tells Fox 26 they had no information that Shirley suffered from dementia, so she was able to walk out of the jail after posting bond like everyone else. The exact cause of her death is pending an autopsy.
If somebody really hurt her, I hope they conscious eat them up and they get caught, turn themselves in.
Shirley's sister was overcome with grief as she reflected on the last moments of her sister's life. Was she killed or did she pass away from the extreme cold temperatures of the outdoors? A representative from HPD said Shirley's body could have been there for days, and that prior to her leaving the jail, she exhibited no signs of mental health concerns.
Grief still overcomes Arlene Heron when she thinks about the final moments of her sister's life. She says 74-year-old Shirley Houston, despite dealing with dementia and heart problems, loved to dance. It's a hard reality. She'll never dance with her sister again.
I'm hurt.
Heron says her sister had been letting another woman live with her in her 3rd Ward area home. They got into some type of altercation and her sister was arrested. Heron says she was first taken to the hospital and then to the Harris County Jail.
She was already disturbed when they picked her up and handcuffed her. She probably didn't even know nothing.
The Harris County Sheriff's Office didn't comment on camera but confirms the woman was arrested January 10th for assault and released the next day on her own recognizance, adding there was no indication of mental health issues and wouldn't comment further on her medical history.
I got to digging a little deeper, and that's when yesterday I heard she was dead.
Heron says she made multiple calls to the police and sheriff's office. A work crew found her sister dead January 17th on property adjacent to Dewson Park.
How did she get there? Who took her over there? Who killed my sister?
Medical examiners say Houston's cause of death is still pending. The sheriff's office says her body had been there for longer than a day. Heron says it's a disheartening feeling, wondering if someone killed her sister or if the recent freeze did.
I couldn't sleep. I walked the floor because she out in the cold and I'm in a warm house.
The circumstances surrounding Shirley's death are still under investigation, and her cause of death is pending an autopsy. Broadcaster Isaiah Carey sat down with the therapist to weigh in on the tragic ending to Shirley's life. The case remains ongoing.
Joining us now to talk about it, licensed therapist Dr. Christine Belliard. Glad to have you here on The Factor Uncensored. Many people don't know what it's like to live with someone with dementia. I have. And it's always tough. Yes. And if you put them in a situation that they're not familiar with, they could be totally lost. It's not like Alzheimer's where you forget who you are, who your family members are. Dementia's more here and there, you get confused and you just don't know. But in a situation like this, if she's walking out of the county jail and into a world that she is not familiar with, this happens.
Oh, this is a lot. I will say this story is heavy because even as I look at the face of Shirley Houston, this is someone's relative. I mean, she had a full life that she was living. She was in her home. And I think what's important to know is that this does touch not just Shirley, but every family member, caregiver. And it is important to also recognize that with dementia, it is that Shirley on Tuesday could have been in her right mind, okay? And so even if the police officers arrive, they may not know that even the symptomologies related to dementia Shirley experiences, but it doesn't mean that that doesn't matter. So there is something, Harris PD is using Project Lifesaver, and this is a device that is helpful because if there is someone that is missing that suffers from dementia or Alzheimer's, they can be located. So I think it's important to also share some resources that people may not know about, because this is also—
But it's important also, Dr. Belliard, to know that they have dementia. If they don't know,
that is true.
If the police department that arrested 100%. Her and put her in jail and the jail that released her didn't know, then you have a big problem. And so whose responsibility is it? And we hate to point fingers now because it was a domestic situation that landed her in jail in the first place. And we all know who have dealt with people with dementia, they will fight, they will get violent. But most of the time, you don't call the cops. Or if you do call the cops, you let them know this person has dementia, they're not in their right mind.
Yes, no matter the situation, even if the person was upset, there was an altercation. In that moment, they may have thought, like, no, she needs to be dealt with. But above all of that, it is important to disclose that this person is suffering from dementia. And the reason why is because not only is this a danger to Shirley, as we see, not just going to jail, but what happened after. I keep thinking about almost a week. We don't know where Shirley was, what she
and those cold temperatures out there.
Yes.
She was found yesterday. We don't know if she was alive Monday and Tuesday. where the temperatures were just
Correct.
extreme here in
Correct.
Houston.
Correct. And we don't know what state of mind Shirley was in.
Yeah.
So it's devastating. And I do think you bring up a good point, like where does responsibility lie? Well, one, we do know that many officers are, to be honest, not trained even how to assess or to know what to do. So if it's not disclosed, there's almost no chance that there can be proper intervention.
But we know there are programs at HPD where they can pull out that iPad and bring the counselor and say, what's going on with this person?
That is true.
And then there's a special unit that we went out with Harris County, and they are designed to address the problems with mental health issues.
Yes, I will say some law enforcement agencies are up to snuff when it comes to that.
I mean,
just to be honest.
both Harris County and HPD both have programs in place.
Right.
It's whether or not the responding officers recognize it. And they may not recognize it.
Exactly, that's true. And then also, once someone is booked and how they're booked, there is no assessment for dementia or Alzheimer's. And that's also another checkpoint that is really critical as well.
All right, we want to thank you for joining us. A tough situation for this family and for law enforcement out there. Now, I have been texting with Sheriff Ed Gonzalez about this case since this morning, well before we all knew Miss Houston was dead. Before that, he says, this is really sad. He went on to say there was no mention ever made by the arresting agency, HPD, of any dementia. The sheriff says the victim was at a hospital prior to being transported to the Harris County Jail. Just so you can know the timeline, Shirley Houston was arrested on January 10th and was released on a personal recognizance bond on the 11th at 7 in the morning, and her family never saw her again.